Hey everybody, Ray here. Every fall I go to the same farm stand and I buy my fresh pecans and I put them in the freezer for the year. I always buy the ones that are already shelled. These are shelled whole pecans. They're $18 a pound this year, pretty darn expensive. I happened to run into a friend who was also buying pecans, but they were buying the whole pecan and they were going to shell them themselves. So I thought to myself two things. One is, I hate shelling pecans, it's a mess. The second thing is, once you separate the shell from the meat inside, how much weight do you lose when you take the shell off? These are only $7.50 a pound, so there's a big price difference. But my hypothesis is, it's not that big a difference once you take out the weight of the shell. So that's what I'm going to do today, a very important experiment. If you think you'd like to know the answer to that question, stick around, we're going to show you. So the first thing we'll do is to make sure that I got a full pound of the shelled pecans, and these are whole pecans. So we've got our scale on there. I'm going to tare it to 0. We'll dump our pecans in there. And we show 16 ounces. Perfect. Okay, we've reset our scale back to 0. We'll put another bowl on here and tare it out back to 0. And now we're going to put a pound of the walnuts still in the shells in the bowl. .1 ounces. We're going to call that close enough. I set a timer and went to work shelling the pecans. I wondered how long it would take me to shell 1 pound of whole pecans. As you'll see, a lot longer than I thought. I won't bore you with this. I'll bring you back later when I'm close to being done. I've been very careful to make sure that I got all of the little pieces of the pecan out of the shell. So this would be as fair as I could make it. Here's the last one. And there we go. Okay, we'll do our shells first. So we'll weigh our bowl, tare that to 0, and then we'll dump all of our shells in there. And it came out to be 7.5 ounces. Nearly half of the pound was shells. Now we'll do the same thing with the meat of the pecan. Put the bowl on there. Again, we're going to tare that to 0. And we'll dump the meat in there. And 8.5 ounces. So 7.5 ounces in shells and 8.5 ounces in meat, or the nut inside the shell. So let's do a little math. My hypothesis was that it's not worth it to pay less to buy whole pecans that you have to shell. So let's look at this. We had $7.50 a pound for the unshelled or whole pecans, which was 46.9 cents an ounce. Out of that pound, 8.5 ounces of meat was yielded, or about 53%. So now if you take that $7.50 and you divide it by the 8.5 ounces that you got in meat, the price goes up to 88.2 cents an ounce. The shelled at $18 was $1.12 an ounce. Yep, that's a little more expensive. So $18 for the shelled pecans, but then it would be $14.11 if you had a whole pound of the unshelled. So that puts that on an equal basis, and it says that you saved $3.89 shelling the walnuts yourself. Now, it took me 50 minutes to shell a half pound, to get a half pound yield of meat. So if I wanted a full pound of unshelled meat, that would mean that it would take me an hour and 40 minutes. Let's say I could do it in an hour and a half. Well, I can tell you that an hour and a half of my time is worth more than $3.89. Well, so there you have it. Should you pay a little bit more to get your pecans already shelled? Or do you buy the pecans in the shell and take the shell off yourself? It's kind of a personal decision. In my view, I'm just too darn lazy to have to shell the pecans. I want to take them right out and eat them when I want them. Also, the amount of money that you save by shelling them yourself versus the amount of time it takes to shell them, there's no way I'd buy the pecans still in the shells. That's my view. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Thanks for watching.